Hello everyone, my name is the Mad Scorpion and welcome to another Destiny 2 video. Now, honestly, right off the bat, I hope you all had a good Thanksgiving break. Celebrated or not, I just hope you had a few good extra days off of work if you got them. If you didn't, unfortunate, but you still had the weekend to enjoy. Either way, there's plenty of food about, so I hope everyone did have a good weekend regardless. On that note, I missed the initial Renegades live stream that happened just this past Monday, or no, it was Tuesday. It's Bungie's. Everything's Tuesday. Either way, I had missed the live stream, and because I missed it, I just didn't really plan on going back and watching it because there wasn't much that watching a Renegade's live stream could do to change my opinion. And then I saw a clip of Allison Lures saying something that summed up Bungie in just such a perfect way that I could not resist going back and actually covering at least the ViDoc, because I'm fairly certain that the new ViDoc is where that statement came from. So we're going to go ahead and watch through it. I'm going to share my potentially sarcastic, sassy commentary and point out some of the just bruh moments that I'm seeing with this, because in the past I have joked about how inspired by Star Wars has been for Renegades when it's just nothing but shameless copy pasting, and then in many other cases they talk about how they are similar, but they also really need to make sure they keep that fine line of what is Destiny, what is Star Wars, when that line is pretty much completely absent. So either way, let's go ahead and get into the ViDoc. Tarsus Junction, the place never reprised from Destiny 1.
We developed this North Star, authentically Destiny, unmistakably Star Wars.
See, right off the bat, that right there, that's that line. It's absolutely Destiny, but it's also absolutely Star Wars. The line is getting so blurred that it might as well just be a Fortnite ripoff and just say Star Wars is coming to Destiny, and not flaunting the line like saying Destiny's still here, but there's just a lot of Star Wars this time.
It has to be something that feels like a Destiny story. It can't feel like a one-off. This can't feel like a side quest, right? Like, this has to be a continuation of the Fate Saga.
I also love that point. It has to be a continuation of the Fate Saga. The Fate Saga had to do with the Nine and all that. So suddenly this random empire pops up out of nowhere, very Empire-like, and there's just whisperings that it was the Nine. Drifter really believes it was the Nine. So suddenly it is relevant to the Nine. And so even though we have a death prophecy that the universe is going to just be eradicated after the death of one of the Nine, so we're just gonna go and have our own Rogue story arc. Yeah, okay, sure. Not Rogue One much?
I got this vision. I knew it came from the Nine.
But with Star Wars beats and Star Wars visuals.
This was uncharted territory for Lucasfilm Games, and that this is the first time we're telling a story inspired by Star Wars.
Yep, there's that magic word. Let's go ahead and start up the counter.
Within a different universe.
At the heart of, I think every Guardian's identity is this healthy, independent, rebellious streak.
We were excited to actually explore that scoundrel fantasy, bounty hunters, the syndicates going out and doing jobs with a...
So I'm just going to stop them right there. We did that long ago with Forsaken. There was the Scorn Baron bounty hunts. It was Season of the Outlaw. It was us going rogue against the Vanguard to avenge Cade and bring Uldren to justice. Yeah, we've already kind of done that story. Now we're just doing it with Star Wars features.
Ragtag team. We took inspiration from Star Wars to
Another one.
Scale, visual language, soundtrack, and cinematic storytelling in Renegades, delivered on everything fans will have come to expect from the franchise.
Hopefully it's better than Outlaws.
Collaboration stands out to me.
Because lightsabers are so iconic, it was absolutely critical to get that balance right.
The team at Lucasfilm Games was just so solutions focused. It wasn't, it has to be this way. It was a lot of back and forth and asking questions about how would this work? Well, let's talk about it. All right, so we need a different energy source. Okay, what would that look like?
It was all about what is best for the player.
I wonder if Lucasfilm had a hand in the full development, because I've certainly seen some of those bits about being able to pick and choose your color. Little Star Wars fact, the kind of color a kyber crystal is determines how strong, well, to some extent, how strong it is. I forget the exact specifics. I know the dark saber was the black one, so it was theoretically one of the strongest ones, and something like an orange lightsaber was statistically, I think, the weakest, and that's why you never saw orange. Even though it existed, you really never saw it because it was like one of the weakest kinds of kyber crystals. To that extent, it's just going to be different colors. There's not going to be any correlation to the original thing about different colors meaning different strengths, probably.
When we announced this collaboration with the studio, James may or may not have been wearing a fighter pilot helmet.
Yeah. Destiny and Star Wars share that same beating heart.
See, there it is again. Destiny and Star Wars are the same, but Destiny and Star Wars is not the same.
I was like, oh, this is going to be special.
I wonder how that's going to go over.
We were given such a unique challenge. How can we achieve the aesthetic and the feel of Star Wars without losing the narrative threads that we've created so far for Destiny at the same time?
It wasn't until we found our footing with creating a foundation in Destiny that things started to click together.
I remember the first time that we went down to San Francisco. We had this really big meeting where it was the Destiny narrative folks on one side and the Star Wars narrative folks on the other side. We broke the ice by just asking, what's the bad version of this? We had a really good laugh over what that looked like. And
Sadly,
through
the
that,
bad
we
version
kind of
looks like it's
uncovered
happening.
that this should be the aesthetic, the vibe of Star Wars with the truth to Destiny's narrative that we knew needed to be there too.
They are really hammering home that it's Star Wars, but it's still Destiny. And they couldn't have done that better than just showing a rip-off Sarlacc pit right next to the crashed party barge. Just because it needed to be there. Don't even think it'll be relevant.
We begin 2 months after the Edge of Fate has happened. The world has moved and changed, and we're still trying to figure out what Binding the Nine means.
The Vanguard have redacted the prophecy of extinction.
They don't want the public to panic over this prophecy.
Hang on a minute. So many times has the public been bared witness to the variety of instances of doom, the endless night, the traveler leaving, the final shape happening at the start of the final shape that just didn't get finished when literally all of creation was sucked into the witness's final shape. They knew the witness was in the Pale Heart, they knew the traveler left, they knew literally every big cataclysm that happened anywhere near Earth, the public could know just by looking outside. So suddenly, this sudden cataclysm, this risk to the entire universe, for some reason, this one needs to be redacted, even though the public have dealt with cataclysms at least half a dozen times directly to their face. Logic.
The crux of our story is the Drifter asking us to help him break Vanguard law for good reason to confront a new rising faction of Cabal called the Baron Imperium. It's what drives Eris to help the Drifter out, as well as the player Guardian.
When we were thinking
hey,
about what kinds
eyes.
of characters should be in this release, we thought about the kinds of archetypes we see throughout Star Wars.
Yeah, and Drifter is an easy parallel. He and Han Solo share a cocky attitude, both former criminals.
In Star Wars, there's a plethora of sassy droids. We have our own version of that through Ghosts, and Blue is no exception.
Oh, look. Thanks for nothing.
I know Drifter wasn't always nice to his ghost because story bits and lore from old Joker's Wild, we learned that while ghosts could resurrect you, they could never put food in your belly. So in cases like Drifter during the Dark Age, when he was starving hungry, he was resurrected just to be starving hungry again. And so because of that kind of bleak existence, Drifter doesn't exactly like his ghost. But he was introduced in year 2. I don't even think we've seen his ghost, let alone heard noise from his ghost, till now. 6 in-game years later. Why did it take so long for that?
Blue is Drifter's ghost, and I think as soon as people hear her, they'll be delighted and incredibly surprised.
Our voice cast is stacked. Dredgen Bale is portrayed by Alex Lee, who is amazing.
You are supposed to protect the people, not rule them.
The man could be an amazing voice actor, but in the end, he's doing what Bungie wants him to. And it just sounds like not Kylo Ren in the same exact mask sound effect. It doesn't sound unique. It just literally sounds copy paste. Like literally everything else with this DLC copy pasted from Star Wars, barely Destiny.
We also got Hollywood actual royalty Danny Houston to play Premier Loom, the head of the Barrent Imperium. Being able to work with someone from that kind of IMDb page was such an honor, and I was completely normal the whole time.
Surrender to the Barrett Imperium.
Loom became this sweeping militaristic figure that I think is going to be a really good parallel to Grand Moff Tarkin or other evil military leaders from the.
I hate to say it, that's a very bold assumption. No, wait, no, Tarkin. I was thinking of somebody else. Crap, why am I blanking on his name? Blue one from Rebels. Yeah, I can't. Okay, maybe Tarkin. That may be close, but at the same time, that's the still bold take for a character just being freshly introduced.
Empire.
So even though we're introducing new characters, we're still looking backwards at some of Destiny lore's most long-standing characters. Honor is another example of that. She's our Praxic warlock.
She's loosely meant to be a parallel to something like a Jedi in Star Wars. She was part of a Vanguard internal affairs group that would police Guardians on the usage of darkness.
Don't make me regret abandoning my post to help you.
So, she was a vote against the use of darkness, and darkness has been in use for 4 in-game years now. Okay? Relevance?
Not now, Honor.
Yeah, she has to grow up with the times a little bit, because the world has changed and a whole lot of people are using darkness now, and she gets to grow and kind of ask herself, like, am I still adhering to my own values if I allow myself to be open to these kinds of ideas?
I'm calling it now. If she loses her left hand, then it's just over.
The Drifter belongs with us.
The Drifter left your cult long ago.
And then there's Bale, Dredgen Bale.
Dredgen is a dark guardian that represents absolute darkness.
Dredgen Bale doesn't like the fact that we're ruled by a city of immortals who can't step down and that weren't elected.
Also, freaking Dredgen was introduced with Joker's Wild more mainstay. They always existed, but they actually showed up for once during Joker's Wild, at least in the flashback cutscene that I think it was. Again, it took freaking over 10 years for a Dredgen to be actually a part of the story and not just a cameo in a cutscene. Good lord.
He's got kind of a point, but his methods for addressing that point suck. He makes many bad choices. One of my favorite parts about a lot of villains in Star Wars is that they have just like the capability of making a right choice and then consistently do not make good choices.
There's that quote that had me coming to this ViDoc. Constantly making bad choices even though they have the opportunity for good choices. If that isn't the script writers for this ViDoc trying to take shots at Bungie directly from inside the company, then that's just Alison Lurs not knowing what the hell she's saying and not the relevance to what's been happening in the world of the Destiny community. Man, did that hit 2 on the nose.
Bale is trying to fill a hole in his life in all the wrong ways.
And he just can't, and he never will. But man, we're gonna hope that he does someday.
The time of guardians as shepherds of humanity is over.
Ah yes, meditating in the swamps.
This has been an opportunity where you love Destiny, you love Star Wars, you want to do something with both. What are you going to put into it?
Oh my god, it was such a challenge at first, finding that sweet spot of how do we make something that can live in both worlds and not feel out of place in either, but also feel totally new and exciting. It wasn't always about where do we find the exact middle ground, 50-50 Star Wars and Destiny, because at that point, you're feeling almost a little derivative.
You already did that. You were literally gonna have the... There's concept art showing our Guardian in a trash compactor. Man, I should be surprised, or I should not be surprised at the lengths they will go to just make this literally Star Wars, period. The amount of Destiny present in this DLC is fading constantly.
There's those moments along the way when we were like, this is just Star Wars. This is not the purpose of...
The whole thing is just Star Wars!
You want to have something kind of new that makes you think of both. I remember when we were trying to figure out what we're going to do with our new Cabal.
We started in that place where it's just Cabal wearing a stormtrooper outfit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until we injected more of that weird alien design of a lot of these armor sets. That was kind of what switched it over from this is too derivative to this is really working. I think it comes through in the visuals in every single map. There are little Easter eggs and little treats here and there that we hit.
Okay, here and there means like there's 2 or 3. There's just constant presences to say this map is Destiny, but it's also very much Star Wars.
Around, and Lucasfilm Games has been awesome at collaborating with us and even putting some of their input onto our maps so we can really give the players something exciting.
Oh, so Bungie alone wasn't responsible for putting as many Star Wars references as possible.
We would never have done this without this collaboration was the Syndicates.
Yeah.
We're going places with the Vex and the Elixni and the Cabal that we really weren't going to go before.
Oh yeah, and trench coats.
And trench coats, yeah. We have Vex in trench coats that are playing cards. It's so awesome, and I don't think we would have dared do that.
See, that is something really telling of Bungie, is that something that has been in process for years, various alien species that before would have just been shoot on sight are being considered as allies or loose contract helpers in the case of these syndicates. We have the House of Light Elixni. We even have Asher Mir as a kind of thing of friendly Vex. Keitel's Imperial Legion, friendly Cabal. Practically every faction that used to be shoot on sight and no friends with, we have somebody that was a friend. Even Savathun was friendly. Not a friend, but friendly until we killed Oryx again. Now she's back to being mean old Hive God. But the idea that they're like, we weren't going to play around with these syndicates of these bad guys being good. They literally already did it. What do you mean you're not going to do it? And also the fact that they weren't thinking of that, even though the logical evolution of a faction is either making it worse like they did with the Lightbearer Hive or making it more relatable like it was with the House of Light. Either give them a reason to be friendly or give them a reason to be a bigger threat. Bungie, you frustrate me so.
We didn't have this opportunity.
No, and it was the perfect time in our universe to do it too. The Star Wars fans on the team just start coming out, telling their stories about what they're excited to build, and far be it from me to get in the way.
We make a lot of weapons in Destiny. How do you take a weapon in Destiny, which we have literal like 4 digits of guns, and
understatement,
right? And make something that feels new, but also does justice for Star Wars. And Blaster was really obviously the choice. They're roughly in 2 groups. There's dynamic blasters, which are intended to be harder hitting, firing a ton. Brute force. And then we have a number of balanced blasters. As you're shooting, and the heat is building up, you're going to have a venting opportunity where you can hit a perfect vent. It's like functionally a reload, so you can start shooting again much faster.
Literally, if you've played Star Wars Battlefront, you know these mechanics already.
Sweet. I gotta ask though, what about those Cabal blasters? Are they accurate?
What difficulty are you playing on?
You know, I feel like that's also a hit at Bungie. Just for some reason, difficulty makes them behave different. Literally, just they get more accurate the more difficult it becomes. I feel like that's Bungie poking fun of themselves, but it's also confirming for those that was always suspicious of that fact in terms of difficulty scaling.
We have swords in Destiny, but we don't have a praxic sword. We don't have a lightsaber approximate.
We have energy swords, but you know.
It's an exotic primary weapon that's kinetic.
What? Why is it kinetic? Oh wait, exotic. Yeah, no, he said primary. Why is it? Why?
Where you can reflect a bunch of blasts. kill enemies with it and throw it out and get a ton of damage.
Hang on a minute. You're telling me that the exotic space sword that could cut through literally everything by melting it is kinetic. It's not solar. Okay.
Having the sandbox be able to explore this new like ability ecosystem with Renegade abilities.
Stratagems from Helldivers and Destiny, by the way.
We've taken so much of this opportunity and turned it into what we can like grow.
Every corner of the game, from the art, the design, the audio, the music, UI, the rewards, completely infused with the magic of the collaboration. It's really been a real treat to be a part of.
Yeah, super satisfying.
They're going to talk about bringing back Michael Salvatore, I believe it was. Is it that one or Marty O'Donnell?
Good morning, everybody.
I forget, but...
Didn't mean to wake you up with that beat, sorry. The overarching theme for this was to create a score for this release that felt like it was cohesive as a whole. We're all talking to each other and collaborating with each other. We were able to explore different ways of orchestrating, different ways of writing with the orchestra that expand on the Destiny palette and make it fresh and new. When I look at the Star Wars scores, there were certain elements that naturally fit string flourishes or wood flourishes that would play into a certain moment.
There's not much more I can honestly say about this region. It's like, it's music.
Feel more Williams, so I'll push it.
Aside from the BS that Bungie did against their composers, there's not much I can say about Bungie in this department.
I had some ideas that felt more full-on Star Wars, and once you like flesh out the percussion arrangement, it instantly sounds more Destiny as a result.
For me, a lot of it was about framing, where when I use a lot of the Destiny themes, how I set them up and how I'm transitioning in and out of moments are much more Star Wars-y in terms of the harmony and orchestration.
I think the most exciting part about this was the opportunity to work with these guys and Mike.
You definitely made it a point to kind of bring us together and listen to each other's music.
But Brendan, you wrote something with the most beautiful oboe solo.
If that was Salvatore, they never name dropped him. They just said Mike. He didn't even get a banner.
Brendan is what it came down to.
The Destiny composer since the beginning. And doesn't even get a banner to say Michael Salvatore. If it even was, excuse me, if it even was them.
First high action cue. Everyone was like, oh, whoa. Because it's really fast, really intense. Josh kept on like spinning around and looking at you.
Humans have to play this. Jeez.
Destiny has like so many themes, and that's like a great vehicle for doing the Star Wars spin.
Our first meeting was discussing that main theme, and I remember hearing it for the first time. And everybody kind of perked up when we all heard it. We're all having ideas.
I know the Star Wars soundtrack itself is incredibly iconic, but it's funny to think that of all prior ViDocs for any Destiny DLC, there was never this much effort given to just the soundtrack.
Dredge and Bale. That kind of teed off the main theme, and the fact that we were exploring the idea of this kind of anti-Guardian character set in this story of scoundrels. We wanted something that would be a backbone to tell a longer arc story. It has a layer of ominousness to it, it has a layer of mystery to it, but it can be turned other ways.
I felt a sense of menace.
Yeah.
I'm just excited to get to experience it with players.
Just really hope that, personally, I've written something that they can really connect with and love, and if I can cause a couple of goosebumps in there, I'll take that as a bonus too.
I hate to say it, but nothing I've heard so far from the music would suggest that.
Inspires them and makes them feel like this world is really unique and really special.
My favorite feeling as a creator is getting to watch someone's look of like absolute surprise.
I want players to feel.
Well, like usual, Bungie has shown practically everything. Nothing will be a surprise.
And world of possibility that Star Wars unlocked.
They have left little to the imagination.
I've been waiting so long for this.
And pre-order bonuses. Well, on that note, that is all from that ViDoc. You know, I don't know if it's just because it's the fact that it's legitimately a collaboration that is taking hold of an entire DLC. I don't know, it's because the last two entrances have just been not so great in terms of story developments. Like, I know there was plenty of people that said they loved, I almost said Renegades, Edge of Fate, but I mean, too many times I saw parallels with Control, in other states. You know, I looked at the story, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I did. I didn't hate Lodi nearly as much as I thought I did, but it wasn't anything exactly creative for Bungie stories, it seemed. Or I don't know how to put it. But the last two entrances of the Edge of Fate and Ash and Iron, they seemed not so great. So for suddenly, after not so great, to come out and say, by the way, this is a Star Wars DLC. It's still Destiny, but it's pretty much 98% Star Wars. It's like, man, you really are just doing your best to not look like crap, but it looks like you're just shortcutting. I don't know. It just doesn't look like Destiny, honestly, to me. It, like, sure, there's Destiny guns, there's usual light dark abilities, the light and dark clashing, but like I said in the beginning, too many times they talk about the light and dark saga being a parallel to Star Wars, and then so many times they talked about keeping it Destiny while also keeping it Star Wars, and it just sounds like they don't know where the gray area is, or where the fine line between Destiny and Star Wars is anymore. And of course, that magical line by Miss Alison Lures about how Bungie keeps making mistakes, even though that they have the opportunity to do so much better. Yeah, that just felt like literally either whoever was developing the air quote script for the ViDoc was either doing their best to take a shot at Bungie leadership, or somebody, or Alison Lures really just has no idea what's going on in the background and just said that so wholeheartedly, not knowing Bungie has so much capability for good, but they just keep making poor decisions over and over and over again. On that note, you know, I'm still probably not buying Renegades. I probably shouldn't anyways, because, you know, scenarios. But either way, I'm just waiting to hear how everything goes out. Because like I mentioned in the past, Bungie's still going on the portal. There hasn't been any announcement it's officially gone. They're doing their best to fix it and improve it. They're not getting rid of it. And I do have another video coming up that is a bit more of a discussion about how Bungie lied with the Destiny Content Vault initially. But that will be in a day or two, right after I get this one uploaded and gone. On that note, my name is the Mad Scorpion, and I'll see you in the next video.